Hello friends, the topic for today is M2M, that is machine to machine, to IoT, that is Internet of Things, an architectural overview. Let us start with the introduction. M2M and IoT are the two of the technologies that form the basis of the new world that will come to inhabit, that is, will come to live. Anything in the physical realm that is of interest to observe and control by the people, business, or organizations will be connected and will offer services via the internet. We attempt to describe the move from what is today referred to as machine to machine, that is M2M communication, towards an emerging paradigm known as the Internet of Things, IoT. Both M2M and IoT are result of technological progress over the last decades, including not just the decreasing cost of semiconductor components, but also the spectacular uptake of the Internet Protocol, that is IP, and the broad adoption of the Internet. The application opportunities for such solutions are limited only by our imaginations. However, the role that M2M and IoT will have in industry and broader society is just starting to emerge for a series of interacting and interlinked reasons. So while we have seen M2M solutions for quite some time, we are now entering a period of time where the uptake of both M2M and IoT solutions will increase dramatically. Then let us go to the M2M communication. M2M refers to those solutions that allow communication between devices of the same type and a specific application, all via wired or wireless communication network. M2M solutions allow end user to capture data about events from assets such as temperature or inventory levels. Typical M2M is deployed to achieve productivity gains, reduce cost, and increase safety or security. M2M has been applied in many different scenarios, including the remote monitoring and control of enterprise assets, or to provide connectivity of remote machine type devices. Remote monitoring and control have generally provided the incentive for industrial applications, whereas connectivity has been the focus in other enterprise scenarios such as connected vending machines or point of sale terminals for online credit card transactions. M2M solutions, however, do not generally allow for the broad sharing of data or connection of the devices in the question directly to the internet. Then let us go to the Internet of Things, IoT. The IoT is a widely used term for set of technology systems and design principles associated with the emerging way of the interconnected things that are based on the physical environment. In many respects, it can initially look the same as the M2M communication, connecting sensors and other devices to the information and communication technology. It is ICT systems via wired or wireless networks. In contrast to M2M, however, IoT also refers to the connection of such systems and sensors to the broader internet as well as the use of general internet technology. In the longer term, it is envisaged that an IoT ecosystem will emerge not dissimilar to today's internet, allowing things and real world objects to connect, communicate, and interact with one another in the same way humans do via the web today. Then let us go to the building and architecture. Architecture refers to the description of the main conceptual elements, the actual elements of the target system, how they relate to each other, and the principles for the design of the architecture. A conceptual element refers to intended function and a piece of data or a service. An actual element, meanwhile, refers to the technology building blocks or a protocol. The term reference architecture relates to generalized model that contains the richest set of elements and relations that are relevant to the domain Internet of Things. When looking at solving a particular problem or designing a target application, the reference architecture is to be used as an aid to design an applied architecture. That is an instance created out of the subset of the reference architecture. The applied architecture is then the blueprint used to develop the actual system solution. Let us see the figure. So here you can see the reference architecture, and then we are deriving the applied architecture from the reference architecture by selecting particular things out of it, and then we develop the system solution from that. So in the system solutions we'll have elements of the applied architecture, and they are implemented with the help of the programming and the different hardware. So when creating a model for the reference architecture, one needs to establish overall objectives of the architecture as well as design principles that come from understanding some of the desired major features of the resulting system solution. For instance, an overall objective might be to decouple application logic from communication mechanisms, and typical design principles might then be to design for protocol interoperability and to design for encapsulated service descriptions. So these objectives and principles have to be derived from the deeper understanding of the actual problem domain, and is typically done by identifying recurring problems or type solutions, and thus by that extracting common design patterns. The problem domain establishes the foundation for the subsequent solution. It is common to partition the architecture work and solution work into two domains, each focusing on the specific issues of relevance at the different levels of abstraction. Let us see the figure. Here you can see the problem and solution domain partitioning. So the problem domain has needs, problems and constraints. So these are nothing but the application needs and scenarios, then requirements, business and technical constraints. And the solution domain has concepts and base technology. So here the design objectives and principles, architectural views, needed capabilities and functions, technology components, they are included, and the system solution will have the system design, deployment view, software components and hardware components. So this is how the problem domain is partitioned from the solution domain. The top level of the triangle is referred to as the problem domain. That is the domain model in the software engine. The problem domain is about understanding the application of interest, for example, developed through scenario building and use case analysis in the order to derive the requirements. This use case analysis you might have studied in the object oriented design. In addition, constraints are typically identified as well. So these constraints can be technical, like limited power availability in wireless sensor nodes, or non-technical, like constraints coming from legislation or business. So both the technical and non-technical constraints, they are considered. The lower level is referred to as the solution domain. This is where the design objectives and principles are established, conceptual views are refined, required functions are identified, and where logical partition of the functionality and information are described. Often this is where the logical architecture is defined, or network architecture in the form of network topology diagram is produced. It is also common to identify suitable technology components such as operating systems and protocols or protocol stack at this level. The actual system solution is finally captured by the system design that typically results in an actual software and hardware component, as well as information on how these are to be configured, deployed and provisioned. So in this way the solution will be developed and then it will be deployed. So with this we come to the end of this video. If you like the video, press the like button, share with your friends and subscribe to our channel Engineering and Technology for You. And don't forget to press the bell icon so that you get notifications for our future videos on this subject. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.